Rats have become a growing concern for many residents of Arlington. The Norway, or brown rat, has become a common pest on many properties throughout town.
We have seen an increased trend of rodent sightings over the past 4 years or so, which could indicate an increase in rodent population as well.
Kylie Sullivan, the health compliance officer for the town of Arlington, has become the resident rodent expert in Arlington's Department of Health and Human Services. She says that there are several factors that can contribute to growing rat populations.
One, I think it's, we are such a densely populated area, and with that we have a lot of trash and waste, and we're not always great at managing it. We're having more mild winters. They can fit more reproductive cycles into the year, and so there are more rats that are being born, and they're not being killed off by the deep freezes in winter.
There are reasons to be concerned about these pests.
So one concern associated with Norway rats would be their habit of gnawing and chewing, and so sometimes if they get into a building, they may gnaw on wires, which could lead to a potential fire hazard. There also may be risks associated with consuming food or water that is contaminated with rat urine or feces, and so that can lead to some diarrheal diseases, all of which have treatments though.
Thankfully, rabies is not a concern.
There has been no research that shows that rats have rabies, and so that shouldn't be a concern.
And for all rats in this region,
there has been no known association with plagues and those types of illnesses.
The Department of Health and Human Services offers site assessments free of charge to any property owners who fear they may be hosting rats on their properties.
The site assessments of residential properties that the health department provides is a great stepping stone in tackling any rodent issue that you may be experiencing.
During assessments, health department representatives inspect the properties for evidence of rodent activity and burrowing.
There's another hole under the fence here, which is likely a result of a rodent gnawing on it.
One neighborhood that has taken steps to combat these rodent pests is Kilsyth Road. Upon noticing increased rodent activity in their neighborhood, the residents of Kilsyth Road worked with the Board of Health to address the issue.
We spoke with the neighbors, and we called the Board of Health, and they were very kind, and they basically said that, getting rid of them was about changing the behavior of the people in the neighborhood. We had some neighborhood meetings, and Kylie from the Board of Health came, and she was wonderful, and she tried to educate everybody about proper ways to handle their food waste.
Proper waste management is one of the most important practices when it comes to preventing rodent activity.
When there is a rodent issue in the area, the most important thing to do to your property is remove any food sources. Some things that we often see as being sources of food for rats, trash is a huge one. So if you have trash barrels, it's best to keep them inside and then kind of bring them out the day of your trash. Other food sources we see can be pet waste, even pet food or pet water left outside. Sometimes we see residents with gardens or compost bins, and if those aren't well maintained, those absolutely can be a food source. And so kind of inspecting your garden or your compost bin, looking to see if there's any burrowing or if you see any food that's been eaten, maybe changing up your gardening or composting practices and trying to make it more rodent proof.
This is Garbage to Garden. And this is a program that many of the neighbors have signed up for. Your compost stays inside during the week in this bin. And then on Thursday or Friday morning, we just all put our compost bins out, and basically the food waste is out for about an hour. There's no sort of compost out there for the rats to get into.
Another important step is eliminating areas where rats feel safe.
Cluttered conditions on a property can attract rodents, so that means something like, if you have old building supplies kind of lying under your deck, something like that, similarly with overgrown vegetation and things like that.
If deemed necessary by the site inspection, the Board of Health will recommend working with a licensed pest control operator to reduce rodent populations on a property. The licensed pest control operators employ many techniques, including baiting, trapping, and with increased frequency, the use of dry ice.
What happens with the dry ice is that it essentially suffocates the rodents inside their burrows.
The use of dry ice allows for the targeted elimination of rats without any risk of poisoning other wildlife. But before calling the exterminator, be sure to get a site assessment first.
You know, we always encourage residents to contact the health department and we can come out and conduct a site assessment. And that way we can kind of indicate, yes, there is activity on your property or no, there isn't. So instead of calling a licensed pest control operator first, calling us first so that we can conduct an assessment and tell you, yes, you are having an issue and you should call a licensed pest control operator.
Sophia Giannetti, Arlington Public News.